Hey everyone, welcome back to Timepass, your gateway to cloud mastery. Today we have got a really exciting topic lined up for you. We are diving into the AWS cost optimization. If you are looking to save some bucks on your AWS bill, you are in the right place. Before we jump in, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell to stay updated with our latest tech insight. Alright, let's get started. Today we are talking about saving money on AWS. It's great for businesses, but cost can add up. We will explore 9 ways to reduce your AWS bill, from using resources smarter to taking advantage of discounts. These tips help cut costs without sacrificing performance. Let's get started. I want to address some common questions that often come to mind when managing AWS cloud services. Let's delve into it. Questions are like, why does my cloud bill changes every month? Are we spending more than we should? How do we know? What tools are there available to help us keep our cost under control? I have heard we can reduce our spend by committing. How does that really work? Is there anything I can do today to start saving on my cloud bill? So today's focus is to how we can optimize our AWS cost. Let's get it. So the agenda for today is concept of cost, the 9 ways to reduce your AWS billing, and final thoughts on it on your AWS bills. Let's get in. So we have taken one example. Generally, cost on AWS coming from two factors. One is your usage, and other one is rate for that particular resource. Right. So we have taken EC2, T4G medium on-demand instance, and S3 standard storage. So EC2 will be utilizing for 720 hours, and per hour cost for that particular EC2 is $0.0336. And for standard storage, S3 standard, we are taking 550 GB storage per month, and the cost per GB per month is $0.023. Now let's move forward. So generally, to reduce your cost, you need to check out for two layers. One is to optimize your usage. So whatever you are using, just limited your usage and optimize the rate. Whatever you are using, pay less for that particular usage, right? This is the two layers you need to check out. So these are the 9 ways we will be taking care today to give you an idea like how you can reduce your cost with respect to different AWS services, right? So let's move in. Let's move forward now. So, first point is stop paying for underutilized Amazon EC2 and Amazon RDS instances. So now you can see there is a scenario. You're running EC2 workloads that are compute intensive, means they are very high configured instances, and you are paying for over provision instances because you are not fully utilizing it. Now let's understand how you can avoid these situations. So you need to go to the AWS Cost Explorer. So when you creating an EC2 instance, you can see the recommendation from AWS Cost Explorer based on your requirement. AWS Cost Explorer will give you the recommendation to have the right sizing of your requirement so that you can modify your EC2 instance size, or else you can go with the right recommendation to stop paying for underutilized or over provisioning your EC2. The second scenario is to having instance running during evening and weekends. So if you are using these services on dev or test environment, you don't need to keep them live on weekends because you are not totally utilizing it. You can schedule an event through Lambda to keep them live from Monday to Friday, and from Friday evening you can stop those services and keep them alive from next month. So that's how you can reduce your billing on AWS. So you can realize that this in minutes, and to implement this you don't need much time. You can implement this in minutes to hours. So it can reduce your cost up to 35%, right? And there is no commitment required at all. So that's how this is a practice how you can do the instant scheduler. So AWS instant scheduler will help you to schedule your time on your instance, how much time you need to keep them live, or and what time you need to stop those things. Right, so let's move forward. Now the second scenario is stop paying for underutilized network and storage resources. So you have created a Route 53 records, elastic load balancer, IP addresses, elastic IP addresses, EBS volumes, and you are paying for the resources as if they are still being fully used. So you let me give you an example. Let's suppose you are utilizing one of the elastic IP which is not tech, but you are not utilizing it, but you have created that and still that in the network components, but you are not using it, but you are still paying for that, right? So how you can do that, how you can stop those things, you can use AWS trusted advisor that will help you to understand what are the ideal resources that are not in the use and you are still paying for those resources, right? So you can understand this in the hours, and the implementation time will take hours to days, and there is no commitment required to do this. You just need to refresh your cost optimized check that will also provide the recommendation for potential savings, and you can prioritize resource cleanup based on your latest savings, right? Let's move on. Now let's understand the way three. So third way is to fine tune your Amazon Redshift clusters, right? So let's understand the scenario. You over provision Amazon Redshift cluster or leave them running during weekends, just like EC2 and RDS we have seen in the last scenario. So here you just need to pause or resize and resume the Amazon Redshift cluster. And to understand it, it will take only minutes, and to implement this, it will take only minutes to hours. There is no commitment required to do this, right? And you will end up saving around 35%. Now on the screen, you can see the recommendation how you can do pause or resume your Redshift cluster, right? So that's what it is. Understand the fourth possible way to reduce your cost. So fine tune your serverless resource, AWS Lambda and Amazon DynamoDB. So both are serverless resource, right? So let's understand the scenario now. So you are using serverless compute AWS Lambda. You are not performed any fine tune in the past. You might be overpaying for your Lambda execution, right? Now let's understand how we can fine tune. So you can see that based on the memory allocation, the Lambda perform the execution, right? So the right point is the lowest cost with the minimum memory allocation. So to understand this, it will not take more than minutes, and you can implement this in minutes to hours, and there is no commitment required, right? So now let's see how you can do the fine tuning. So through the AWS Lambda power tuning, you can perform the fine tuning on your Lambda function using this tool, right? Let's move on. So the another scenario is your traffic is unpredictable, or table utilization is well below peak. You are using dynamic tables configure using provision capacity. You might be paying for provision capacity you don't use. So you are over provision and you are still not using those capacity and you are paying for that. So how you can do, you can just configure on demand capacity mode for DynamoDB tables that are ideal or for unpredictable workloads. To understand this, it will take only minutes, and you can implement this in the minute as well. So this is a hands-on. You can follow these instruction which is available over the screen, and you can optimize your DynamoDB tables. Let's move on to see the fifth approach. So enable Amazon S3 intelligent tiering. So you are using S3 standard storage class general purpose data lakes, or you might be paying for S3 storage class you don't need. So you just need to understand whether this standard storage is required, or you can go with the intelligent tiering. Through this, you can save up to 40%. It will take only 30 to 90 days to understand, right? So this is the hands-on steps which you need to follow to create life cycle rule that make use of S3 intelligent tiering. Now let's move forward to the sixth approach. So enable Amazon EC2 spot instance. So you are running a big data containerized workload, CI/CD, web server, high performance computing, and other test development workloads, and you are paying the default on demand pricing. So let me give you the example. Spot instance is not a general a regular instance. They can be revoked any point of time. So based on that, you can run your unproduction or non-critical workloads, right? So to understand this, it will take hours, and you can save up to 90%. Uh, and it is cheaper than 90% of your on-demand EC2 instances, right? And you don't need to commit. So there, these are few documented, well documented information. You can go to these links and understand how you can utilize spot instances. Now, seventh approach: modernize your resources. Amazon EC2, Amazon RDS, and Amazon EBS, right? Now let's see the examples. So you are running EC2 RDS instances on previous generation, or you have EBS volumes on previous generation. You might be already overpaying for your resources. So people have misbelieved that moving to next generation will cost them more. So it is not the right thing. So you can see the screen when you go to C3 to C5, the performance is going to increase, but the charges or cost is going to decrease. Now let's understand. So it will not take much time to understand this, and you can save up to 40% on your RDS EC2 workloads, right? Or even EBS workloads, you will save up to 20%. So these are, so you can follow these documents to understand more. Now let's move on. So use compute saving plans. Now let's move to the scenario. So you have EC2 or Fargate workloads that are always on. You are also leveraging a Lambda in your architecture. You are paying the default on demand pricing. So this is a crime, right? If you have a constant workloads, you can utilize saving plans, or you can move from EC2 to Fargate, right? So these are some adjustment what you can do, and you can achieve the best cost optimization on your workloads and on your AWS account for this particular resources, right? So you can move from C5 instance to M5. You can also change your region from Ireland to London. You can also move from Windows to Linux. So these are some recommendation through that you can achieve best cost optimization on your AWS account. So through this you can save up to 54% on EC2 and 10 to 12% on other services. So AWS Cost Explorer will help you to understand the cost saving plan or saving plans recommendation that will recommend you the best saving plan based on your requirement, right? You can follow the steps which is mentioned over the screen. Now let's move to the ninth approach. So use reserve instances, right? So let's understand the example as well. So you have RDS, Redshift, Elastic Cache, and OpenSearch workloads that are always on, and you are paying the default on-demand pricing. On this, you can go with the reserve instances, but before that, you need to understand the terms and condition. So you can realize this in hours, and you can implement these in the hours. So through this, you can save up to 42% on different resources, and you don't need to pay upfront, but you need to commit for 1 year. So this is the cost explorer example, which will help you to understand how you can go for the reserve instances, right? So these are the 9 way which you can follow to do the cost optimization on it on your AWS account, and you will get the best. So the final thought: to understand your cost, you can go for AWS Cost Explorer. To control your cost, you can go to AWS Budget, and to optimize your cost, you can go with the AWS recommendation. So you before going further, you can understand like every organization is a different. You may not have seen your particular scenario in this presentation, but if you didn't see, there you can connect with us, and we can help you with based on your requirements. So these are some well-defined documents. You can go and visit that, and you will learn more things on cost optimization and the resources and their plans, and you will understand more about the backend, right? And there you have it, folks. 9 game-changing strategies in just 15 minutes. If you found these tips helpful, drop a like, share with your AWS buddies, and comment below. which strategy you are trying first. This is Nick from Timepass signing off. Happy optimizing.